One of the questions I often hear isn't what is AI, but where do I point it? What can I do with it? So if you look at your business, you don't need to look for the magical opportunities. You just need to look for where you have loops. For us, we looked at our own operations and asked, where are we burning highly intelligent human brain power on things that are following a set of rules? And before I show you those examples, I did want to say one quick thing about safety, because I know it's on everybody's mind. When we use AI in our workflows, we are using Microsoft's Azure AI service inside our own Azure tenant. Your data stays inside that environment under the same security and compliance controls as the rest of the systems with us. So Azure doesn't use your prompts or outputs to train public models. It does not share any data, and the models themselves do not remember. They're stateless. So what you're about to see is not us throwing ticket information into some wild public AI. It's us using a tightly controlled tool within Azure to help our managers spot exceptions faster and focus their time where their judgment really matters. With that foundation in place, we have four specific areas that we initially focused on. So let's start with the front side of the service ticket, one of my favorite things. And for context for everyone, you might wonder, how many service tickets do we get? Well, we get about 4,000 service tickets a month, and that's just on our support side. So 4,000 tickets. So if we're able to save just a few seconds on each ticket, that can add up to real savings. So we set our focus on what happens when the data enters our ticketing system. We realized that we were asking our engineers to be data entry clerks. We wanted them to write perfect invoice-ready titles and select complex categorization codes for our analytics. But when an engineer, as you all know, is in the middle of fixing a server down, they want to prioritize that. They want to fix what's broken and help you all. They don't want to do the paperwork. So sometimes they would do a best guess on the categorization or leave less than ideal titles that were more vague and didn't encompass the scope of the ticket. This created a little bit of chaos in our data that hurt our ability to report on trends for our customers. So, how did we tackle this? We built and deployed an AI agent that acts as a translator. It reads the ticket and automatically writes a clean professional title for the invoice following our set of rules, standardized every time. It analyzes the work performed and automatically categorizes the type, subtype, and item so that our analytics are more accurate. This ensures our ability to search and find those relevant tickets and improves our accuracy in a lot of different aspects, ranging from strategic reports, amongst other things, and provides a clearer invoice title so that flows through. You can understand what we were working on. And one of the really interesting things is our engineers no longer have to spend that time on that portion of data entry. These two small automations with AI, we're projecting based on kind of how many tickets are coming in and the time saved that we're going to save roughly 4.3 million seconds. So of course, that goes to 1,200 hours per year, but it sounded more interesting to say it in seconds. All right, I'm ready for the next slide. So at Endsight, we pride ourselves on providing value. And something that's deeply important to us is billing accuracy. We don't want you to see an invoice that doesn't make sense. And do we get it right every time? No, we don't. But we try really, really hard. Um, that quality comes at a heavy price. Our response center managers were manually reviewing nearly 4,000 tickets every single month. They were checking titles, the spelling, the analytic metadata we talked about, agreement mappings, and work types. Doing this was taking well over about 160 hours a month. So that's nearly a full-time FTE manager spending almost the whole month just virtually stamping papers. The risk wasn't just the cost, though. As you can imagine, there's a lot of fatigue that comes in there too, decision fatigue. People get tired. When you check your 500th ticket for the week, you start to miss things, and we needed a better way to guarantee quality without burning out our leaders. So we built a workflow that uses orchestration and AI to support our managers. Now an intelligent assistant runs a first pass on every single ticket against our strict billing and quality rules. It checks the agreement, the grammar, the metadata, and whether the time entry looks reasonable. When everything is in line with our standards, it records the ticket as passing those checks so that the manager can focus on spot checks instead of reading every single one. When something looks off, the AI writes a specific note explaining exactly why and surfaces that ticket so a manager can review. So here's the outcome. We reduced the manual stamping effort by about 85%. The important part is not that AI is doing the invoicing for them, and still every invoice gets human oversight as well. The win is that our managers are no longer buried in this repetitive checklist work. They can focus their time, and this is the fun part of their job, on coaching engineers, on improving service strategy, and looking closely at those exceptions that are surfaced for them through these workflows. This automation with AI, it's projected to save roughly 1,600 hours per year, and at the same time increases accuracy and allows us to look not only at those tickets that would generate an invoice, but across all of the tickets, and helps our managers reclaim that time to focus on coaching. So we automated the screening so we could elevate the human review and not remove it. Finally, I wanted to talk about the safety net. So we all know the standard feedback loop that we have, the smiley face survey at the end of a ticket. It's a great tool, but it has a flaw. It requires the customer to actually take action. Sometimes when a customer is annoyed or just over it, they don't want to click the face that represents their experience. They just delete the email and move on. And that silence is, of course, dangerous. So we built a sentiment analysis engine that reads every single ticket interaction, including the communication and engineer notes. Just like I mentioned earlier, all of this analysis happens within our secured Microsoft Azure environment. We're not sending your tickets to public AI. It is the same tightly controlled tool set under the same security and compliance controls. This time, it's pointed at experience signals instead of invoicing data. The moment a ticket closes, the AI reads the entire context of the ticket, regardless of whether the customer filled out a survey or not, and the engine looks for residue of friction. So sarcasm, passive aggressiveness, or repeated back and forth. It also highlights good things, you know? Sometimes people say, thank you, I really appreciate this. And it looks for those things because those are worthwhile highlighting for our team. The wins really drive them. It inspires them as well. So on the other side, the sarcasm, the passive aggressiveness, the repeated back and forth, it alerts us to people that might be silently suffering. The customer who didn't complain, but they definitely didn't get the experience that we wanted them to have. So we don't want to just transactionally service a customer. We want to care for that overall experience. It's actually really important and foundational to us at Endsight. And this visibility allows us to help surface the appropriate tickets for manager review. So with these examples, I consider this kind of our own run state. Eugene's going to talk a little bit more about crawl, walk, run. This is some of our run state. They show you what's possible, but we didn't start here, and you don't have to either.